to start with something a little lighter since it's Thanksgiving. Tell me how you used to, or as a kid, what your Thanksgivings were like, and then what will you be doing this week?
So Thanksgivings were split. So when I was younger, we used to go to Dallas most of the time to go be with my uncle and his family. He's a Dallas police officer, so we used to do that. I got a little older. We did everything in Waco, Texas, where I grew up, my grandparents' house. I had no responsibilities other than to eat. And then when I got into college and I would go back home, I think I had the responsibility for ice, I believe, and maybe like Oreo cookies or something like that. So still pretty much low maintenance. But the last few years, though, I have been one of the people who've done the cop out, and I have catered Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh,
And
have you?
I think I'll be doing the same thing this year.
So you'll have it here,
Yeah, I'll be here.
and who will be there with you? Generally speaking, will your mom be there? Others, who will be with
So
you?
my mom is in, I think mom's in Waco.
Okay,
So she drove down to be with her family. I was originally going to go down there, but after hearing of Mother Fletcher's passing, I'm going to stay close. I think the
right.
service might be as soon as this coming weekend. Um, uh, so so I'm gonna stay close. So it'll be me and Gavin.
Okay. Let me ask you, since you mentioned Mother Fletcher, talk a little about her passing and what she has meant to the community and why it's important for Tulsans to remember this person's life.
I mean, if you think about what an amazing arc of one's life to be, under 10 years old and to have witnessed what she witnessed and still be old enough to remember it, right? And to have a lifetime lived to then be able to advocate for it on the back end and do it in, the halls of power in
Right,
Congress, at the White House, all those kinds of things. But if you ever spent any time with her, she was sharp to the end, and she was focused. Those weren't words that people were telling her to say. She was very much focused on the need for justice, not necessarily for herself. I think she understood, where you are when you reach 100 plus, but what it meant for her to advocate for future generations. And I think
right.
we can all learn so much from that. She was a titan in life, and she's a legend in death, and leaves behind a legacy that I think all of us in Tulsa can be proud of. Someone who endured so much and then dedicated her life to make sure that not only did we, maybe atone in some ways for that past, but we did it in a way that was very much promoting how tomorrow could be better. There are few people in this world that lived a life like she lived, that we could touch and we could talk to. Her passing is one that comes with great sadness, but I got to tell you, as someone who got to share just a little bit of space with her, when I think of Viola Fletcher, the word gratitude is the thing that really comes to mind. I was really
Yeah.
proud to have known her. I'm grateful to her for what she stood for and what she meant to this community and the nation. Certainly, sad to hear of her passing, but certainly grateful for the life she lived.
Um, this is probably a good time to remind people. Um, I hate to use the term reparations because it's much more complicated than that in a good way than that word. But talk about the program you guys initiated in the summer to kind of advance um, the work of addressing the harms of the 1921 race
Yeah,
massacre.
yeah.
Can
So
you kind of update us on where that is?
sure, sure. So, June 1st, we launched the Greenwood Trust, announced the Greenwood Trust, which, we said would be in a year of planning. So far, we've hired an executive director for this private charitable trust that's working to raise the resources necessary to really invest in kind of three bucketed areas. One of those areas is around housing, because that was the recommendation of the Beyond the Apology Commission, investing in college scholarships and business loans and business grants, because we want to make sure we are working to bring back what was special about the Greenwood District. And then another pot, the third pot, is really around infrastructure and cultural landmarks to make sure that a story that was largely untold for about 70 years is something that not only we can all celebrate, but we can all pay the appropriate reverence to those who have passed on. I think Mother Fletcher passing on is a great example of that, right? Making sure that these people, not just because they were victimized, but because what they have stood for in life, those who are descendants and those who are survivors, what they stood for in life, there needs to be a place for that. And so the Greenwood Trust is raising private capital. As I speak right now, Elena Beverly is the executive director of that trust, and it's very much focused not just on kind of looking back to the past, but looking forward to, how do we recreate the magic that was Greenwood? What does that mean for the descendant community, but also what does it mean for the entire city overall? I said it on June 1st, and I think it's true. Actually, I know it to be true. Um, there's nobody in Tulsa that would not be better off had the massacre not happened. So in some ways, it has been a traumatic impact to this entire community for decades and generations. The Greenwood Trust is a way in which we start to reverse that to make sure that what was a dark moment in our city's history, that the final chapters are not yet written, that we can do these things that continues to show people what Tulsa is all about. Additionally, we released the 41,000 pages of documents that we had here at the city. We made sure that June 1st is going to be a day of observance for every June 1st moving forward to, make sure we reflect and remember those who lost their lives during the massacre, but also we can think about, what are we all doing to make sure that Tulsa is a different city in future years. And we continue our work around the mass graves investigation, something that I believe is important to bring closure to families. And so it's really about all confronting a hard truth about our community, but doing it in a way where we're looking through the windshield. We're looking through the windshield, not the rearview mirror, but we're looking through the windshield of how we move forward together. That's what the Greenwood Trust is all about. I'm very proud of the work so far.
And I think, I want to say, was it 100+ million you were hoping to raise in
Yeah, the
your?
goal is to raise 105 million. And again, for listeners to know, the Greenwood Trust, the areas that we're investing in, the level of investment was informed by the descendant community and community partners that have been working on this stuff for a long time. About 10, 15 days after I took office, those recommendations showed up on my desk. And just like with anything else that we're doing here, whether it's homelessness or affordable housing or public safety, we believe in being responsive to members of the community who lift things up. The private charitable trust was the best pathway to do this work. I think the most appropriate pathway to do this work. But we think about it like we think about everything. We know there are things that are important to this community. We want to make sure we're doing things where everybody feels like Tulsa is a place for them. The Tulsa Race Massacre was obviously one of the most significant events in our city's history, positive or negative. And we want to make sure that as this generation of Tulsans, that we take something which was a dark time in our city's history, and we make sure that the final chapter in that story is one where this community has been able to come together to make sure that what was really a dark moment can be a bright spot, and that's the work the Greenwood Trust is all about.
Um, you've given two State of the City addresses, and there's been a lot of coverage from myself and others about, your work on the sales tax initiative. I was curious, there was an element that was put aside pretty early about capital improvements package, a bond package. Do you see that being part of the discussion in the future? Or do you think that's still, because I think one of your concerns then was you didn't have really enough time to get it all vetted and put out there. Do you see
Yeah.
that? Do you see going down the road? Let's say that the discussion picks up with the council at some point next year. Do
Yeah,
you see
the
bond being part of
yeah,
it?
the general obligation bond part of it was not saying that we weren't going to do it. It was that there
Right.
wasn't time to do that right now. So it's still going to be part of the discussion. We
Okay.
absolutely need to do it. We have a lot of needs out there. Everything from eventually a new jail and municipal court. We got some things that we need to address on the BOK Center and the Convention Center. We got some challenges as you've written about, I believe, on the public safety center front. So we know we still need to do that. It's going to be critically important that we have the time because unlike the sales tax conversation, the general obligation bond, those are going to be projects that we're committed to with very little wiggle room.
Right.
And we needed some more time for that. The sales tax increase stuff is stuff that is going to end up in the general fund to go through the regular appropriations process. So we felt really comfortable moving forward with that one with some very clear and determined needs, which is different from how we're thinking about some of these capital outlays that
Right.
you're going to have to get serious about and get done. And I would imagine that work's going to have to happen in 2026.
Okay. So, and I may be getting a little ahead here, but could you envision if the council sits down and does the work that it wants to do as it relates to the sales tax, can you envision potentially that bond package being part of the election that whenever that's determined to be, which
I
have the
don't.
sales tax and the bond package?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like it would be
Okay.
nice if they could be
Right.
at the same time. I don't think it's necessary for that to happen.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think, it's far too early in the council's process. I'm not exactly sure what kind of process they want to go through. But I wouldn't even be able to comment on that. I think it'd be fine for them to go. The original goal is that we did them all at the same time,
Right.
but they certainly don't have to happen at the same time. Meaning the needs that we have around homelessness and public safety and those things are like right in front of us right now. We don't have the same timeline necessarily on the capital projects, although we have to get serious about them. They got to get done really relatively quickly. They're not day-to-day issues. Right now, we have some
Yeah.
real day issues that are important, and so my guess is that they will be potentially on kind of two separate ballot days, but
Right.
not separate conversations, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I got you. So we're getting near the end of the year. Um, are there stories at City Hall that we've missed? People like me. I mean, are there good, whether it's good or bad? I mean, are there things going on out there that maybe the public has not been made aware of as much, perhaps, as you would like? Work that your administration has done.
I don't know. I mean, I'm always taken by the kind of small stories that we see every day with city employees doing, a variety of different things that, to be honest, probably would never rise up to like a big news story, but you see really cool examples of that every single day. I will say one interesting kind of small point of pride for me just this last week. The progress that we've made with animal services this year has been really fun to watch. Just this last week, we had a 98% live release rate, which is absolutely amazing. It's 1 week, but it's a week after we had a live release rate, I believe, in the 80s. So like the progress is there, which means the department, which we made its own department and put it under the Commissioner of Public Safety, the department is operating well, but also we're working much better with partners across this community. And I think that partnership piece has been critical. And so whether we're thinking about these big, large scale projects like Safe Move or the Housing Impact Fund, or we're thinking about process improvement and animal services, we're starting to see kind of top to bottom in the organization where we're able to kind of meet some needs and meet some challenges, and we're meeting them together. And we're not hiding from the transparency part of it, but we're really focused on outcomes. And I think the progress in animal services is one that I would lift up. I mean, it's probably not
Yeah.
newsworthy as a week,
Well,
right? But it's impressive. It's incredibly impressive. That kind of progress is absolutely amazing.
well, I mean, it's definitely. I think uh, people have really wanted changes in that department and better facilities. So I do think
Yeah.
there'll be. Yeah. When is that supposed to open? Is it in the spring or is it the
Yeah.
new facility?
Yeah. Next year. Next is it September? It's the summer of next year. I thought it was September, but yeah, it'll be open
Okay.
next. We had the
Okay.
top out ceremony just recently, so that was
Yeah.
kind of
No, I know. Yeah, I
cool.
saw. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what's great about the progress over there, frankly, is that, the progress that's happening right now is not even in the new facility. So as we get better facilities and part of the sales tax conversation was to make sure we could, create new positions for animal services, we'll have something that everybody, kind of said was a challenge. We've worked with the team that was there. There's not been an overhaul in the team. That team has just been empowered to do what is necessary. So one thing I do want people to know, reform and, changing things is not always about just changing the people. Sometimes it's about empowering the people to do what is necessary. Animal services is a great example of that. and I could not be more proud of Sherry Carey and her team. It's been really fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay, two other questions, but getting back to some less serious stuff. So, it sounds like we're not big in the cooking of the Thanksgiving meal. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food, though?
Oh man, so this is a good one. So it's broccoli cheese casserole is my absolute favorite. And like second place is like everything else, with the exception of cranberry sauce. So like
Okay.
broccoli and cheese casserole up here, everything else number two, they're all tied and they're all amazing. So,
Okay.
but you can't do it without the broccoli rice cheese casserole.
Okay. And another Thanksgiving related question. Are you now back on the cowboy bandwagon?
Hey, it's never been a bandwagon for me. It's a way of life, Kevin. I don't know if you saw, I'm glad you asked me. Down 21 nothing. I had no doubts, right? No doubts at all.
I don't believe that.
Never a doubt. I wasn't stressed out. I didn't have to check my heart rate. I was fine the entire time. But what a big win. What a big
Yeah.
win.
Well, look,
Um,
all kidding aside, because I mean, you're a busy guy, but and I don't pretend to be any football expert, but they got rid of that real good defensive player, right? And they struggled early in the year,
yeah,
but they made what I've heard is some pretty good. They've signed a few good guys, including that wide receiver from Pittsburgh. So,
that's
all
right.
kidding aside, do you feel that they're maybe a little better than where they were 4 or 5 years
Definitely
ago?
better after we traded Micah Parsons. I was
Yeah,
very concerned. And honestly, the Philadelphia Eagles are such a phenomenal team right now to be able to take, shots at them, a division rival, and be able to battle your way back was pretty impressive. Now, Jerry Jones and I we still got misunderstanding between the two of us. I don't understand certain things, but Jerry, at least for one more week, is off the hook. This Thanksgiving, I was actually going to head to the Cowboys game. Gavin and I did that a couple of years ago.
yeah,
Last I looked, the tickets we normally get are about double the price. They're playing the Chiefs,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that is spending a couple $1,000s. I think I'll watch it on TV for free.
Okay. I think we're all good. I always appreciate your time. Um, I may have to bug your folks off camera about a couple things, but you've been very kind with your time, and I always appreciate it and hope you have a nice Thanksgiving.
Well, one thing I'll say, I used to leave a parting thought, and so I'll do that anyway, even though
Oh,
you didn't.
please do. Please do.
I will say is we go into Thanksgiving, I know we'll all be thinking about the things that we are, grateful and thankful for. I'm certainly grateful and thankful to serve as mayor. I'm very grateful personally for Gavin being a senior and, getting ready to go on to bigger and better things in life. Those are all things I go into this season with a ton of gratitude on. But every Monday I ask department heads a question that's a random question. Sometimes it's been, what's your favorite karaoke song, all the way on to like, what's your favorite Thanksgiving meal, right? And everything in between. You end up learning a lot about people with some very simple questions. But one thing that occurred to me, I heard a lot of people say, I'm going to pull out my grandmother's old recipe and make whatever dishes she used to make. And so while we are certainly grateful and thankful this season for all the chairs that will be filled with people, I know there's also part of the holidays that is a sense of loss for people who aren't there. And so I just want everybody out there as they go celebrate this Thanksgiving season to know that I'm thinking about them, certainly praying for them. I know as much as I said we're thankful for, there's also a sense of loss at times. So I hope everybody has a great holiday, and I'll certainly be thinking about them. And if anybody has any leftover food that they're just wondering if the mayor's hungry, tell them to shoot me a note. I'll be right over.